NBC's variety program Saturday Night Live has been no stranger to banning musical acts for breaking the network's guidelines or rules. I've covered a lot of these stories before, but nothing created a media firestorm like the time musician Sinead O Connor appeared on the show as a musical guest and made a political statement angering NBC, as well as its viewers and even the Vatican. That's what we're going to discuss in today's video. Sinead O Connor would appear on Saturday Night Live twice during her career. She was initially set to appear on May 12, 1990, but dropped out to protest comedian Andrew Dice Clay, who was the host that night. She would make her first appearance on September 29, 1990, but it would be her second appearance on October 3, 1992 that created a media and public firestorm. It was during her 1992 appearance on the show that she was scheduled to perform two songs. The second song was an a cappella version of the Bob Marley tune War. The song was originally written about racism, but during her live performance, O'Connor would change the song so it was directed against the Catholic Church's child abuse scandals in Europe. It was during the dress rehearsal, she held up a photo of a starving child, something show producer Lorne Michaels had no issue with. But during the live show, the photo of the starving child was replaced with Pope John Paul II and changed one of the lyrics from racism to child abuse. Towards the end of her performance, she would take the photo of the Pope, rip it to shreds, throwing it at the camera, telling the audience, "Fight the real enemy." O'Connor would draw on her own personal experience of abuse at the hands of the Catholic Church when she was a child, recalling, "I went to school every day covered in bruises, boils, styes, and face welts, you name it. Nobody ever said a bloody word or did a thing." The producers of the show turned off the applause sign that night, and after O'Connor's action, the studio fell silent. The blowback against NBC was almost instantaneous, as they would receive 4,400 calls, mostly complaining about the musician's actions that night. The inspiration for the stunt came from an unusual place though. O'Connor would reveal it was Bob Geldof who inspired her to do the stunt, recalling to Hot Press, "When the Boomtown Rats went to #1 in England with Rat Trap, Geldof went on top of the Pops and ripped up a photo of John Travolta and Olivia Newton-John, who had been #1 for weeks and weeks before, and I thought, yeah, F. What if someone ripped up a picture of the Pope? Half of me was just like, Jesus, I'd love to see what would happen." Musicians were split over her actions. Bob Dylan would praise her, while believe it or not, Madonna criticized her, telling the New York Times, "I think there's a better way to present her ideas rather than ripping up an image that means a lot to other people. If she's against the Roman Catholic Church and she has a problem with them, I think she should talk about it." The following week on Saturday Night Live, actor Joe Pesci hosted, and he would tell the audience, "Sinead O'Connor tore up a picture of the Pope, and I thought that was wrong." The actor then held up the patched up photo to the audience's applause. Pesci would go on to say, "If that would have been on my show, I would have gave her such a smack," adding, "Pope John Paul II forgave the man who shot him. I'm sure he is not bothered by this. If she defaced any images of Italian popes, watch out," he'd say. How does O'Connor feel about her actions looking back? Well, she would defend them, telling Carson Daly in 2021, 10 years after the Pope ripping episode, "You all found out in America that this was going on. We always say Americans, they think nothing happened until they found out about it," adding, "The media was making me out to be crazy because I wasn't acting like a pop star was supposed to act. It seems to me that being a pop star is almost like being in a type of prison. You have to be a good girl." That does it for today's video, guys. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like button and subscribe. We'll see you again in Rock Culture Stories. Take care.